are spinning their wheels too. Joining us now is Republican Congressman Steve King of Iowa. Republican Congressman, my concern here, sir, is $38.5 billion. We're looking for trillions and trillions of dollars in cuts. We come up with $38.5 billion. Please, is that enough, sir?
Yeah, that's not enough. We needed to draw a bright line, and we needed to stand on it. And I think the dividing factor here was who had the most willingness to face a government shutdown. I think that all along it was part of the strategy of Harry Reid and Barack Obama to push it towards a shutdown. I think enough things got put on the table that they wanted, enough taking off the table that we wanted, that they just couldn't come up with a good enough excuse to do what they already planned to do. So I think that's the biggest reason why we are where we are. The $38.5 billion, if that's what it really ends up being in real numbers, and not a lot of policy that we could have leveraged into this CR.
Representative, the American people out there are going, look, last Friday night we got down to 11:04 p.m., literally just a matter of hours before the government was going to shut down. The administration came out and said, don't worry, it's all clear. We're trying to figure out why is it all clear now. Why is $38.5 billion going to solve our $14.5 trillion deficit problem?
Well, it doesn't. And in fact, there's a pretty strong argument that our deficit increased during the period of time that we debated this greater than the amount of money we were able to cut. So even in the period of time of the calendar of the debate, I think we lost ground on the deficit. I think we've got to be a lot more bold, and we've got to be able to bring a budget that will get us to a balance in some time that we can actually hold accounting for. I had an individual yesterday who spoke at a breakfast I host who said, I have a 30-year-old son, and I don't know how I tell him that he can work his entire working life and be prepared for retirement before we get the budget to actually balance. What a depressing thing to think if you're starting your working career, or maybe the professional level of your working career, and know that you never get to see a balanced budget before you retire.
Then how did the Republicans let this thing pass at $38.5 billion, and how did it kind of sweep through the House this afternoon, and maybe probably going to sweep through the Senate in a matter of minutes? How does that happen? The American people are saying, no. $38.5 billion is not enough money. We need literally hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars of real cuts, not these fuzzy math cuts that Obama pretends will happen over the next 12 years.
Well, I would have liked to have seen the $100 billion. I think that would have been a solid marker to put down in the time frame that we had. I would have accepted the $61 billion, but I also drew that bright line that said no funding for Obamacare. That's a $2.6 trillion outlay in the first full 10 years that it'll be implemented. And we should have stood on that as the biggest component that we needed to do battle with the president.
But you didn't.
Well, I did, but our conference didn't. That's
right. But listen, I'm still calling your feet to the fire as well. You didn't, and you know we're trying to you're trying to attach it to upcoming legislation, but you didn't. It's still there. It's still there. But right now, would you vote? Right now, would you vote to let the debt ceiling be exceeded and I guess, I don't know, allow America to default on debts? What would be the process? Would you vote? Are you going to vote to raise the debt ceiling?
Right now, I would like to see the Tom McClintock bill pass, which sets up the sequence of priorities on the debt that we will pay and keep our bonds in order. But right now, I'm a no on a debt ceiling, and I'd like to see what they have for proposals. There are a few things that might make that attractive. One is an incremental increase on it to buy a little bit of time. But I want to attach Obamacare to it and shut that off. And there are a couple other proposals that look attractive to me. But I'm going to stand on Obamacare.
Give us a sense, sir. How does the House look? I mean, is there going to be a vote? What's your, you must do a straw vote, figure out what the vote would look like right now. Give us a sense where it stands.
I think right now that probably the debt ceiling doesn't pass. And yet, especially the freshman class has been conditioned to vote to increase the debt ceiling since orientation here. So that's part of the equation. And what they're being told, I don't know at this point. But I would be looking at the 87 freshmen to see where they stand on this as a real good barometer on what the Republican conference will do. And right now, I don't think it passes. But on the other hand, they've got some days to work on this.
Congressman, very quickly, we're going to have to let you go in a second here, but did any of the Tea Party freshmen that came in, did any of them vote for the continuing resolution?
I think that, I don't know which ones are defined necessarily as Tea Party, but I believe there are at least 20 freshmen that voted no on the continuing resolution. So I'd look at them as the core, And there are some full-spectrum conservatives that need to be rehabilitated because of some of the votes that they've had to take. And we can't hold them accountable for all this right now, Eric. I mean, this is a big deal, and you're focusing on it in the right way. But the freshmen were put into an arena that they could not have possibly been able to feel all of the currents that were flowing back and forth. I want to give them a chance to put their credentials back together, and I hope they can do it maybe on the debt ceiling.
Very good. Representative Steve King, Republican from Iowa, thank you very much.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, with cities and states across the U.S. on the brink, lawmakers are desperately searching for a way out, but unions are saying